What's going on, guys? It is your boy Cash, and I messed up. I actually did a whole video. I did actually several videos, and my mic was muted the entire time. So I'm gonna go over this real quick, and I haven't done a state of the game in Shadowverse, so I wanted to talk about and discuss, of course, the mini expansion. First off, before we even get into the cards, which they do release on Twitter, some of these cards would have been really good to have had during the last tournament. I played in the open the other day. I was actually in the tournament. I lost. I went 3-5, I think, in the round robin, and you know, it would have been nice to be able to play decks I was more interested in, but didn't have enough support, like the blood. I wasn't able to play that because there wasn't enough support for the hand buff, deck buff stuff. Forest, as we're gonna see here, Portal. I would have definitely not have ran Mysteria. I didn't even want to play Mysteria because it's just the most popular in a tournament aspect. It's kind of stupid not to play one of the best things amongst friendlies. Fine, but so I'm just gonna go over the cards. But I wanted to start a discussion first. What do you guys think about the mini expansion? The technique of it. They say it's, you know, to make people less bored, like to spring up, you know, people out of nowhere. After, what is it, 2-3 months, they drop a mini expansion to be like, oh look guys, come back and play. Because I think it had the reverse effect in this, especially on this one when Mysterio was running rampant, was going like crazy, and there was nothing really to stop it at all. And well, there was stuff to stop it. Yeah, it didn't win all the time, but the fact that it was just annoying to see those decks, that and Kakaitis, Dragon everywhere. Like, you just saw them way too much, and especially when you see Forest would have been up there. Forest would have been like top 4. Shadow, I don't think much would have changed with Shadow, but you know, it would have been a little bit more variety if these cards were out. And it just seems as though it still and will always seem like more of a business decision, not like keeping people's attention, but more to force people to buy the same expansion twice. Even though, like, yes, you can get that, save your vials, save your after you get everything, you could save all the packs, and then you could profit that way. But at the same time, I just wish that they drop it all at the same time. All this creativity would still be there. But since you don't have that ability, you have to hope and wait and save your stuff. And then, as you can see when we go to the rune aspect of it, you would get nothing. You get some cool ideas. So let's just get into it. First off, I'm going to start off with Blood, obviously, because that's the one I was most triggered by. And then I think it was the last one they did reveal. Laura Enraged Commander is going to come in here. If Vengeance is active for you, give a Bloodcraft follower in your hand Storm. If this is a 10 turn or later and you have Vengeance is active, give all followers in your hand Storm. So it has to be the 10th turn, you have to be in Vengeance or fake Vengeance, and then you get everyone in the hand gets Storm. That second part's going to be hard, unless you have some type of way of trading and BSing through. I found that Blood, the hand buff, was a little bit hard to keep cards in the hand because you started to have to contest with what the people had out on the field. So that was just a little bit thing, in my opinion. It was a little bit hard, but you know, it wasn't that bad. She also evos into Storm herself, so that's another 5 hit for, you know, for turn 4. A evo hit for 5 is still a 5/5, and she, at least if Vengeance is active, which we'll see, you know, either you have the Blood Moon from him, or you can have it from Lekos Berserker. He also will be able to give a Blood Moon only if he has 4 attack, but luckily he evolves full stats. You can evo him and trade him into something and get a Blood Moon in the hand and change his cost to 1 for dirty plays. So that's pretty good, especially on turn 4, right? Evo, let him die. Well, maybe more of a turn 5. No, that's 6 play points. What am I can't even count, right? Because the what is it? Abandoned Reasoning or Reckoning Reason. I forgot what the name of the card is. But you know, being able to drop Blood Moon and play and drop that's only 4 play points instead of, like, you know, Blood Moon I think was a 3 cost, and then that was like turn 6. So it's a little bit easier with this guy, and then all the other Vengeance stuff starts coming, so now you can actually pressure the board, and with more ways to get the Blood Moon, you could pressure the board even more, right? So that's pretty good. Obviously, then you can give him Storm, you know, with her, and other cards that normally don't have Storm, now they will have Storm, so it's going to be crazy, but you do need the Vengeance active, so the deck is going to be a little bit switched around, but again, this would have made the deck way more playable. You would have saw it more often. I did not see one hand buff ever like when I played in a lot of over the course of a month, just because you saw it just didn't have enough support. It just did. So Gluttonous Empress randomly put a Shadowcraft follower that costs X play points or less from the deck into play, then destroy it. X equals the total number of play points. So, as you know, so only up to a 10 cost card. So yes, you could technically mill like Mordecai. I couldn't think of the name of the card. You can mill the Mordecai, and then it's a free burial right essentially, and this card's okay. It's not as strong, and again, like I said, you would have waited to the mini expansion and was like, yeah, we're gonna get something great because this deck is not top 3, but these cards are made in advance, so it doesn't really matter with this where the decks actually fall in line, because they're just gonna put out whatever they want. And this card could have easily been in the next expansion, or they just decided to drop it on here. It's completely up to them, and that's just how it works, unfortunately. When another ally follower is destroyed, restore 2 defense to your leader. So like nice little heal mechanic. So she's automatically gonna make you heal for 2. If other cards die while she's out there, you'll additionally heal for 2. So when you play her on jump, you're at least milling a 7 cost card or below when you do that. So at least they keep their effect. So it doesn't say that remove, like how Burial Rite removed their effect. So there could be more play with this, that if you find a card that's either 7 or 6 cost, then she will at least utilize their effect by coming onto the field and then dying. Not too sure what cards those might be, but the card seems okay at best. It doesn't seem like the end all be all. Not like we have boy Tartarus, the Tormentor, which is a more card that synergizes with a card that was released before, when then you had to assume, well, they're gonna eventually release another card that has 12 reanimate that you'll be able to utilize, and of course they did. So now this card is cool. You can accelerate it. You have to accelerate it, sorry. Summon a Tartarus the Tormentor, this card, and then destroy it immediately. Then put a Lurker in the Dark into the hand. Lurker in the Dark this card is a 3/3 ward for 8. Fanfare reanimate X. X equals the number of shadows you have, which will pretty much guarantee this if as the game progresses, or we'll give you something else. Which is cool, is that this is fanfare and just equals the numbers of shadows, but it does not take shadows like necromancy, so that's pretty cool. Whenever this follow attacks and it's ambush, which starts off with ambush, it will destroy all enemy followers with 5 or less defense, but it does not have rush, it does not have storm, so it's a little underwhelming in that regard. So you have to hope that it stays there, they can't clear it, and then boom, that. I think the other card is a little bit the quartz thing again. So Shadow, in my opinion, got cool stuff, but not enough stuff that I think that will actually change the meta, like, or warrant you putting it in there versus what they're already doing with Arcus. Just don't see it, sorry. Oop, boop. Alyaska, Master Dealer, and this chick is definitely for the Spartacus deck. Discard, select 1 card in your hand, keep it, discard all the other cards, draw. And this is turn 7. 7 cost, 5/9 ward. It has ward. Why does it have ward? Obviously to stall for Spartacus victory. This card is like geared for Sparta. They should have just called Alyaska, wife of Spartacus. That's what they should have called it. This card is it's just all around good. Especially, let's say you're not even running Spartacus, you just have a dead hand and you want to get rid of it. You keep the card that you think is the most useful and then get a whole new hand. Does suck for 7 to do that, but obviously for Spartacus it doesn't matter because you're just trying to mill your hand anyway. Playing that good old 1-player game that Spartacus loves to play. Then of course we're gonna come over here to Diane, or Deanne? No, not Deanne. It's definitely Diane. Whatever. I'm not Google speeching it. Now, this cool thing about this card is that it has 3 flexible uses, right? So you can accelerate it early for 3 damage. If you have too many of them, you're only gonna be able to play it like for 10, like probably once. And especially if you're gonna get the evil for the 10 damage to face, good luck with that. Keeping evil to turn 10 in the current meta. And then of course the accelerate 7 to do 3 damage AoE, kind of like Proto Bahamut a little bit. And of course standardly it's going 6 hopefully to face. It can't trade that well as a 3/3 on turn 10, so you're hoping to hit face for 6, and you're hoping, or evo and then hit face for 2 for 10. So at least it's unlike Prophetess, which I kind of hate. Prophetess of Creation is that it's a 10 cost card, or 20 cost card, duh, but like it has to accelerate, but it takes so long to use. It takes forever to use. And like at least this card is more flexible. I wish Prophetess was more flexible in this regard. This card's an overall good card. I just don't know if it fits into the most successful deck, which is the more token oriented stuff. And then now with this card, I don't even know if people will bother, because Spartacus was, in my opinion, very potent, you know, especially when you're giving them more wards to put out there. Orb of Desecration. Now this card is a cute card. It's one of those other cute cards. And again, if you were Portal waiting for, because you know Chronogenesis is about to be on its way out, you're looking for something to save everything, something to save you. This card doesn't seem like it's gonna be it. It doesn't seem as though it's strong enough. It is a really cool concept. You know, as you Evo cards and as you they get destroyed, this is Puppet, especially the whatever lad who actually evolves by themselves. Any cards, I don't think that's the only card they have that evolve by themselves, stuff like that. And you know, it will allow you to speed this process up, or turn 5, which is a really harsh turn to sit here and drop 15, and it will still be left with 10. But you know, I guess it depends on the board state at that time. Then you will get summon the Avatar of Desecration, and this guy, at the end of the turn, randomly put 2 different Portalcraft followers. So he'll keep doing this if he stays out, but good luck. He's only a 4-cost body. He has Bane, doesn't have Ward, doesn't have Rush, doesn't have anything. He just kind of comes out. So he'll come out in the beginning of your turn, which is, that kind of keeps him safe, right? Because unless the opponent triggers this, because it is a 1-cost orb, you know, thing, they can banish it. You know, depending on, like, I think Sword can banish this very easily. But who would Seraphic it or anything like that? They're gonna, you know, either they're gonna let it slide, or they're gonna take it out. They could even let you have it there thinking you're gonna get it off. But you could play multiple, right? Because it's 1 cost, you could just drop them, and then you get 2 different Portalcraft followers. Now, I was thinking about this when I did my first recording. I was like, oh, this, you know, you can put the Prime Artifact in there, and then when we get to the next card, you know, then you can. I'll just skip to it, right? Marsha Myesha, sorry. The Purgation's Blade, Fanfare, draw a card, whatever. And then evolve, get the Purgation's Blade, right? So this gives +4 and Storm to an allied follower, allied Portalcraft follower. If it's Myesha, it's a way better. It then goes off of allied followers destroyed. It's a 7 cost, 3, 7, turn 7, insta kill. You know, you're dead. You're done, son. So, but I was thinking with this, if you were to put that card and then run Myesha, because then she'll be one of the cards. Yes, at the end of the turn she'll come out, right? And then you're like, well, she's there. But let's say if you were doing something like that, and then this, you had some card, I couldn't think of a way to do it properly, but they put the Ancient Artifact, and the Ancient Artifact will come out, and then it's a, you know, what is it, 7 cost, 5/5. You can give it Storm. It's a 9/5 Storm hit to the face. It's not the worst thing in the world, but the problem is that you can't run all those other muddying artifacts techniques. You can't do it. Other thing I was thinking about would maybe be like the Rhino. The Rhino might be a decent way to do it, but the Rhino, you still have to play it. Can't think of a way to properly do this in the new order. I don't think there's a way to properly do it with the new order either. Like, there's just no way to like do it besides it being Myesha. Again, it's just a lot of tricky stuff, which might come through later on, but we don't know. We don't know. We got to see the decks. This card is just not good. So you summon this card, and it summons this card. This card is cool because you can pretty much, I like to use this, but remember, it's summoned from this, so there is no fanfare. So the first thing that you have to look at is it's a 1/1 that at the start of the next turn, put the first card. No, sorry. Put this card. If it dies, you can put it puts itself back into the hand. Then you can mess around with the Accelerate and the Fanfare. Now, the Accelerate is a little bit better because it's like 3 costs, recover an Evo point, and it's a spell. But if you're using the actual Fanfare, it will summon back this card and then give you 1 Evo point. Then you can Evo it, but even when they're both on the field at any point in time, it's just 2 damage. So Evo 2 damage to something, right, to an enemy follower, right? Just not that big of a fan of it. It just, they can't give Rune too much. They definitely can't give them more Mysteria cards. Maybe in the next expansion to piss people off as they rotate other Mysteria cards out, but this is just not that great. You're not banking the home on this, and same thing with this card. Yes, I've seen the theories. The 6 cost Grand Summoning, you Evo it, and then it's a 7/7 with Bane, and you also have the Grand Summoning in the hand, and you can do this by turn 4 or 5, depending if you go first or second. But I don't know. Maybe, like I was thinking, Damn it, Nox. I was thinking maybe in Unlimited there might be a really cool card because it's random. So if the less cards you put in, you will 100% draw a specific card. It has to be a Runecraft card. I do know, like in Unlimited, I think there is a 7-cost card. You know that I think there's 7 or 8. I don't know. Don't ask me. But you know, you know that's very strong, and if they can't deal with it, then they lose. And anything that runs into it will die because it has Bane. It's an interesting card, but there's a lot of random destruction and straight up destruction. You can't like protect it. I don't think Rune has a way to make it unavailable to die. Like this would have been a stronger card in like similar scheme, right? But like in Portal, and then you could protect it from the random destruction. Then they have to like hit it on or banish it. That would have been crazy. Why? Portal is Forest is struggling as much as they already are, and then you have the Hornet Queen, and it's like, come on, dude. When is a Hornet Warrior hitting the face just to get a Hornet's thing? And it costs too much. It doesn't have ward. The other what was it? Somewhere around here. I should have been Xing these out as a. This has ward. 7 cost, 5/9, Evo 7/11, 7/11 Slurpees. You know. And this is just a 6/5 and just sits there and puts 2 things to trade. Yes, cool. But turn 8, how do we even get there? We need some earlier stuff from that. I wish this was like a 6-drop or a 5-drop or something. And then obviously that makes it way stronger. But 2 Hornet Warriors, it helps out with the slightly the poison, but it's 8 cost. And the other card, the Poison Queen, is a 4 cost. You can't play them both. So how do you get that happening? You just don't. It's just this card is, it's not good. I don't see it working. But this card's bananas. I explained so well in my tone and voice. Explained so well how great this card is because it will, in my opinion, will bring back the Fairy Wisp using stuff like that, right? Because you can, if this card has two other cards were played, and then you can evolve this follower, right? So I said, like, you play this, like 2 Fairy Wisps or whatever. Yeah, you play 2 Fairy Wisps, right? Drop this, drop Lily, I think, right? The Conductor, Evo Lily, give this card +2, +2. That's 10 damage. Attack twice to the face, and that is a turn. I think Lily is a 2 cost. Yeah, she's a 2 cost. So you could do that technically turn 6. 10 damage to the face. Whoa. And even later, then you can even throw in the Arbanist, I think it is, Lily. I think her name is actually Lily. The one that gives +1/+1 to a card that has 4. That is a murderous hand. And you could just, whatever else you can stack on and give it more damage, right? And yeah. So this card would have, in my opinion, is going to bring Force up way higher. It's a really, really good card. And you could also evo it yourself if you know, just for 4 damage to the face, and it still has 4 defense. That's pretty much out of the gate of the 3, a lot of the 3 damage stuff. That's the you know, like the Diane that the sword just got. It's gonna survive that. It's gonna survive Razor Claw. It's gonna survive a lot of things. Not that many things do 4 damage, you know, outside of what, like Lion or something like that. Oh my god, I just realized they didn't reveal Haven. I was trying to think in my head. I was like, yo, there has to be something that they haven't revealed anything for Haven. I think all the other deck types are covered except Haven. And I worry, like, because Haven is always like in the middle ground. Good, not the best, really standard, really good. I wonder what they'll do with Haven. I wonder if it's more line support, or, you know, they can't do another archetype, so they have to wait until the next expansion for that. Because this is Dwagon Quaff. This card is okay, but I was saying in my other video, I'm scared to death of this card. Actually, no, I'm happy because I'm hoping that other people will misplay, because when an ally follower attacks, it will take the replay points if you use this Evo effect and deal 1 damage to everyone, and it's not stackable. So obviously, because then you'll take like 6 play points and you'll probably be pissed. But I mean, it's a good body, but you have to keep that in mind every time you attack first and then try to use spells or try to trade or anything like that. For like, this card's gonna ruin people's lives, and I'm gonna love seeing people misplay it because they're gonna attack, lose 3 play orbs, and then be like, hey, oops. You're not gonna have anything left. So it does, I think, help out a little bit with Like the Dragon Warrior, you spell, but that seems like too much. I think this card, again, if Dragon was hoping to get anything else to help them out, they're not really getting anything, because then we're going to go right here to Anna Rose, and yeah. Not really that great. Nice little card for when Ayala, Mr. Dragon, rotates out. But outside of that, you're not running this. It is nice, though, that it has an additional effect if Overflow is active, but this could have, I think, been bumped up to maybe like 2. Maybe it would have made it too strong as a 3-cost follower that has 3 defense, 2/3 plus evil. Like, I don't know, but I don't know if people would run both to just amplify the ability to gain the ramp by if you draw Aelia or her, because once you're ramped up, so maybe have more options for it. I'm not too sure. So that's pretty much it. But now I just realized they haven't revealed Haven. Every other one I have up here is covered except Haven. And bam, I knew it. I had a feeling that when I went to work, by the time I came back from work, they would actually have these up, and they do. It seems as though there's no legendary neutral, or they just forgot to put it on the page. This is seeming like the last post, and now the thing is in maintenance. So it's just this card, which I think is garbage. 7 cost, 6/5, ward. I feel like a lot of things when they have ward make them a little bit better when they normally are, right? Whenever this follower attacks, it gets 0/2. Cool, I guess. The only thing that they kind of missed out is that Accelerate 4, summon 2 Minotaurs. Unless a Minotaur is something already in the game, I can't check at the moment. I don't know if that's like, I think a Minotaur is it's like a 1 cost or 2 cost ward or something of that nature. So you can Accelerate 4, summon 2 wards. I guess if you're just trying to stall out, I think you'll maybe see this in the Spartacus or something. I don't know. Most of the neutral cards don't interest me because they're like very, very niche. Only can fit in certain decks, and this one is just not my cup of tea. But what is my cup of tea is not this card either. This is the Haven Gold card, and it's like, At the end of the turn, deal 1 damage to all other followers, which is a nice little clear. Keeps themselves safe while dealing damage to other things. Really good for like fairies and stuff like that. And at the end of your opponent's turn, give +1 to all other followers. So it pretty much, like when she's out, they'll put out something, and it will, on the end of their turn, it will prevent them from dying from Sekhmet. So it's just kind of weird, the way that it kind of works. It just seems like it's good because it will obviously boost the defense of your followers. I think that what this is for is the Vengeance Radiance is to help out that type of deck as far as like giving more health to your monsters, and then you're able to do an AoE clear with the whole difference of health. And because that card really doesn't work, it's very hard to use it on, like, unless it's Catalina, which is another neutral card, or the Omen of Repose, because he like takes a certain amount of damage. There's a couple Haven cards that take a certain amount of damage, so you can use that to trade and then clear the field and heal everyone back up to full. So I feel like that's what this is for, plus boosting up the defense of your units, making it harder and harder to trade and actually kill the mob. It's not the worst thing in the world, but at the same time, I don't know. Certain decks, I do want that deck to work, like when you just put a bunch of wards, and maybe like the Minotaur, you just put a bunch of tanky monsters, keep them healed up, and if the deck you're fighting against doesn't have direct removal, then you're just screwed, because you can't remove those cards. You can't do anything. Like their defense gets too much, and you can't clear it. And I think like Mysteria actually would have a problem with something like this. I think Cocytus does have it, but the only way Cocytus, not just Cocytus, Dragon deck can deal with it is with the Whisper. And that's like pretty much the only way they're going to be able to deal with big chunky cards constantly coming out back to back to back to back. So I think it does have a place in a tanky tanko deck, like really like just focusing on putting big monsters on the field with ward, and maybe just have this card sitting on there, because at the end of your opponent's turn, if they don't have any monsters and you still do, then all your monsters are getting boosted. You trade the board, and then they still have to deal with everything. So I guess it's not that bad. Haven is always, like I said, they don't get the crazy busted stuff, but they just constantly get nice things along the way. And then we got this. I was reading this to make sure I knew what the hell I was thinking and talking about. And yeah, kind of funny, right? So you got 1 cost. At the end of the turn, you put itself in the deck. That's just what it normally does. You do have the accelerate to put 2 random followers that cost 1 play point or less from your deck into play. Now, the only card that I know currently that would work on is like the 0 cost card, but that you wouldn't want that to come into play. You want to play it so you get the fanfare. So you don't want to put that in your deck at all. So it's pretty much this card. I can't think of another 1 cost follower that Haven has outside of this card that you'd want to use it on. Like maybe an unlimited that I may not be aware of. But yeah, pretty much this guy. And then every time, like where it is, so you evolve it, right? At the end of your turn, give +1 to all ally followers that cost 1 play point or less. This effect is not stackable, but it does last the rest of the match. So you at least evolve 1. Now this seems to be its own deck, because if you keep fanfaring, especially like the enhanced 4, you put them out and then they'll all get +1 and they'll slowly just flood the field. I don't really know like how, and it's at the end of the turn. It kind of has some synergy with this, like slightly, but every time you end your turn, all those monsters are getting +1. Well, sorry, only the monsters are getting +1 that are, you know, staying alive and on the field that cost 1 cost. But it doesn't matter if those 1 cost cards have been boosted to heaven. You know, they're, as long as they're 1 cost or less, they'll constantly keep getting boosted. So it is a cool thing, but outside of its own self, or when, you know, it has its own like presence, it does its own thing. You can literally just keep pumping this out, pump this out. But could you win with it? I guess. Could you? Is this card its own win condition? It would be my question. Can it win by itself? And that would be the question. Is this enough power? It's a 1/2, then it becomes a 2/2, then it's a 3/2, and then, you know, and you can't stack it. If you could stack it, I think it would become a little bit better. Then it would be more of a win condition. Then all you have to do is play nothing but removal spells, and then get this card in your hand, and then just let it do what it got to do. And then you just flood the field with a bunch of 1 cost, and every time you end your turn with these on the field, they'll keep putting the 1s in your deck. You eventually draw them, enhance 4, put a bunch of them on the field, and just keep doing that while you're using, like, you know, removal spells and all the other stuff, and then you eventually come away with the dub. So, it's okay. It's okay. This card's okay. But Haven always gets okay stuff, and Haven is just consistent. I love how Haven is, in my opinion, has never been in a bad position. But again, and now that this is the new end of the video, I'm going to cut my old end of the video and put this as the new end of the video. It sucks that these cards weren't available. You wish would have saw more variety. Way more variety in the meta if these cards were out. Like, I don't believe in how they say that they're doing their, like, spacing and stuff like that. Like, oh, this keeps the game fresh. I don't think it necessarily keeps the game fresh. I just think it's a money scheme. And that's why I wanted to put it in my State of the Game, the review of the cards, to show that, yo, these cards would have been great when Out the Spear first dropped. All of them, especially the cards that were missing from other expansions and mini expansions, and these weird cards like the shadow stuff. It's like, why wasn't that with the other things? Like, just release it all at the same time. Or, you know, hand buff. It's like, oh, this is a brand new mechanic that only has like very limited support. Oh, don't worry, you wait a couple months, not like a couple weeks, you know, wait a couple months, and then you'll see we'll have more support for those cards. It's just like this card might be busted, but, you know, next expansion I don't mind, but, you know, it's the same pack that I've been opening and been given, but I'm not a fan. The mini expansion thing, in my opinion, personally needs to go. Just drop all this stuff. And I know some people are like, but then there's like 3 legendaries you gotta get. But yeah, you're getting all these packs throughout the thing, and you have to forcibly save them. But while you're opening up the other stuff, you know, like the end of the pack's life is the same. There's still gonna be 3 legendaries, 3 golds? And, you know, I think, yeah, right, 3 golds for each class. Same thing. It's literally the same thing. It's just delayed. So, I don't know. It's kind of like if you were doing like MMO or like these loot games, and it's like you get like a part of the raid, but you don't get the full raid, and the rest of the raid will come out in another month. So you know, you play part of the raid, but like it's not finished, it's not concluded, so it's just like kind of in limbo. Same thing with the story in this game too. It's like, oh, we'll finish the Guild Wars in a little bit. It's like, ugh, this feels so weird. Like, I didn't even mind when they're doing each character, because each character comes out, you know, you see each side, but then when they do the conclusion, it's like, yo, just finish the conclusion. But hey, you know, what do I know, right? What do I know? I like the story too. I definitely play the story as soon as it comes out. But let me know what you guys think about all these cards. Let me know what you guys think about the mini expansions. Are you a fan? Do you still want them to continue this as they progress forward? Do you want them just to drop everything at the same time? Do you actually feel it does refresh the game? Because a lot of people are going to come back into the game that were probably tired of Mysteria, and they're going to see these cards, they're going to have the vials for it, they're going to be like, oh, let me try this out now that this is available. Do you think it works? Do you, you know, or is it like, no, that doesn't work, I don't know what you're talking about? So, yeah. All right. That's it for me. I'll see you guys in the next video.